The city of Calgary has now become home base for many of our winter athletes and will continue to be long after these games are over. Winter sports facilities tend to be far more expensive than those required for summer games, and Calgary now has the best collection in North America. For the first time ever, Canada's bobsledders have been able to train without having to leave the country. Early last October, while it was still windbreaker weather, they were making their first runs of the season on the new track here at Canada Olympic Park. It's an $18 million facility funded by the federal government, and it is superb. Perhaps no other Olympic facility in Calgary has quite captured the public imagination as has this one. In the first year of operation, there were 20,000 descents, and the run proved so safe that hundreds of people who'd never been on a bobsled track in their lives were allowed to give it a try. Even in the warmth of August, they gathered around to watch the bobsledders practice dryland starts. The Canadian teams have been selected from the ranks of the best track and field athletes in the country. A fast start is one of the most critical aspects of bobsledding, even more so in these games because the sleds have been standardized so that no country has a big advantage. But innovation is something that is allowed in track design. August seemed like a particularly good time to get a close look at how this facility was put together and to talk to David Leather of Underwood and McClellan Limited, the designers. David was project engineer. He came to Canada from Lancashire, where he was originally a bridge builder. On this, his dream project, he was able to apply some old techniques to a new design. David and I are standing about halfway down this bob and luge run, and when the sleds come hurtling through here, they're traveling at about 115 kilometers an hour. And I've never been inside one of these things before. I can't believe how steep this is.
Lloyd, that's about just where the sled will be at that point. It's vertical. The wall is vertical. Above there, we have a safety zone with a crash barrier at the top. That's just to keep the sleds in the track. The profile of the track is extremely important, and we decided that we'd have to place the concrete surface that you see there to within a tolerance of 5 millimeters, which is quite difficult to achieve in placing concrete. In total, during the construction, we had probably about 200 people in different parts working on it, on the design and on the construction as well. We have applied the bridge concept to it. There's a lot of sections, in fact 48 of them, and it's like bridges all joined together. The last 2 seasons we've had temperatures in excess of 20 degrees Celsius, and I'm very pleased with the results of it.
And the ice has held very well.
The ice has held very well. It has to be maintained, of course, and that's where the expertise of the operators comes into being.
Well, making ice on a day like today may be just a little difficult. That's no problem on a day like today, with the wind up, the temperature sub-zero, the ice in place, and this track in use. And so the games of winter are the games of speed. Ice and snow enable competitors to travel on horizontal tracks or fall down mountains at the fastest possible rate. On this track, they'll come down almost 1,500 meters in less than a minute. It'll be good competition here, too, because several countries have teams with the skills and experience to win. Here to tell you about them is our own bobsled team, Vic Emery, who drove his Canadian team to a gold medal in the 1964 Olympics. Brian Bachand, who competed for this country in the Olympics of 76 and 80. And Jeff Hutchison, who viewers in southwestern Ontario will know as the fine sports reporter for CTV affiliate in Kitchener, CKCO.
It's a beautiful, balmy day here at the top of the Bob Run in Calgary with the city in behind. And, of course, that's what's going to make this track so popular in the years to come, because it's right next to a city where we can get some depth to the sport. After 25 years of trying to get a track here in Canada, it's a real pleasure for me, particularly, to be standing on home ground after all those years of training outside. And I'm looking forward to reporting to you over the next 2 weeks some really fantastic sightings. And now, perhaps, Brian, you can tell us a little bit more about what to expect.
Well, right now at the bottom of the hill, all the European countries, the foreign countries are coming into Canada. They're at the bottom of the hill right now. They're unloading the trucks. They're bringing 3 sleds for each 2-man and 4-man competition. Along with this, they're bringing 3 crews. We don't know right now who's going to be competing for major powerhouses like Austria, East Germany, Switzerland. It's going to be a challenge. We have the same challenge internally for Canada. We've got 3 very good drivers to look forward to holding the flag for us. Greg Haydenluck, David Luge, and Chris Laurie. And good luck to them. Over to you, Jeff.
Well, you know, the thing about Calgary is, and one of the tangents of this sport is the wild and wacky weather we may have. It could be +5 or +10 degree one day. It could be -5 or -25 the next. That's going to affect some track conditions. And there's also the question that you may have been reading about, which sled will Canada use? They've developed a new sled, and the jury's still out whether or not it's better or worse than the old one. Things like that have to be decided over the next couple of weeks, and we hope you join us to find out all the answers.
Bobsled event, even though the rules for bobsledding in the 19th century stated that teams had to include 2 females. There are, however, female lugers, and the lugers use the same track and travel at the same speed and are probably exposed to more danger than the bobsledders. They were in danger of being run over by dump trucks last summer as they practiced steering maneuvers on the service road next to the Bob and Luge track at Canada Olympic Park. Losing, one of them joked, is 20% courage, 80% stupidity. The only ice in sight that day was falling out of that thundercloud across the Bow Valley. Still, the start in the Luge is so important, they'll find some means to practice it, whatever the time of year. Andre Benoit is half of a Canadian doubles team that might just have a hope in these games. He started out as a runner, a swimmer, and a gymnast. He took his first Luge run on a dare, and it scared him so badly, he did it again to see if he could conquer his fear. Well, here he is, ready to talk about the techniques of being the bottom man in the strangest event of them all.
Since I'm underneath him, I can't see nothing because I have his helmet in my face, and I really have to go with the feeling. It took me a long time to get that feeling, to get what my eyes could see and trust what I could feel. I always got used to trust what I could see and forget what I felt.
Even in summer, the days of training are long, with hours of running and weightlifting and working out in the Vision Training Lab at the University of Calgary. The lab has been developed by Dr. Gene Edwards because of his belief in the vital importance of vision to bobsledders and lugers. They tend to go where their eyes go, he says. Even a slight eye movement can end in disaster. A well-trained peripheral vision is critical. If eye movements are swift and accurate and kept to a minimum, an athlete can make much better runs. As the bottom man in the Luge doubles, Andre must rely exclusively on his peripheral vision. To test his theories, Dr. Edworthy even tried the Luge himself. Now he's hooked and competed in the Canadian Championship last year. When he wasn't in training last summer, Andre was busy helping his partner, Bob Gasper, design and build what they hope will be a lightning-fast sled. Bob is an engineer with one of Alberta's oil companies and had a pretty fair idea of what he wanted and how to go about it. They finished up with a sleek little wisp of fiberglass and steel on which they hope they'll slide to Olympic victory. With it last fall, they broke the course record on the Calgary track. But the story of the Luge is the story of the East Germans versus all comers. That's the story our own Luge doubles team is standing by to tell us. Jeff Hutchison and Marlene Vestergaard, who competed for Canada at the Lake Placid Games in 1980.
Perhaps more than any other Olympics, these games here in Calgary in 1988 are a watershed for lugers in Canada and Mill, and I think the reason that is right behind us.
Exactly. And what we've been hearing about since we've been here in Calgary is the legacy, and the legacy is behind us. Just to the right of the Luge track is the Naturbahn track, which is the beginning track to Kunstbahn. And Kunstbahn is the Olympic sport, which we'll review in the first couple of days of the Olympic Games.